Hi everyone. Now we are going to discuss about vaccination or about the vaccines we will discuss in detail. So the prevention of disease or diseases is the most desirable and most convenient and highly effective approach to health. And this is going to be achieved by the process of vaccination or immunization using biological preparations called vaccines. Okay, so what are vaccines? So, as I told you, it refers to the collection of immunological determinants presented to the immune system which stimulate the immune responses is going to be termed as a vaccine. Okay, so the administration of this vaccine is going to be called as vaccination, which is very important in the prevention of diseases. Now, a vaccine may be a preparation of live, that is a live antigen, live microorganism. Usually we call it as a attenuated strain or live vaccine, or it can be an inactivated strain that is called as killed vaccine, or if an organism or its antigenic constituents like subunit vaccines, or a bacterial toxin which is modified called as toxoid, which do not have any toxic capability but retains its antigenic properties. So a vaccine can be of all these things. It may be attenuated strain, that is, it may be in the form of live vaccine, or it can be of a kill vaccine, or it can be of a subunit vaccine, or even it can be a toxoid. So we will discuss all these types of vaccines in detail one by one now. So let's begin. So here are some of the examples of the vaccines for against the viral diseases that I have gave you and the bacterial diseases. So very few, there are so many along with these things, but here I give you only few as an example. For example, take the viral diseases like hepatitis B, and the vaccine prepared for this is a hepatitis B viral antigen, and it is going to be mainly given to the group of high risk medical personnel. And even the influenza, inactivated virus or viral components of its structure are going to be used as a vaccine preparation, and this is chronically ill individuals and those who are over 65 years. Okay, for them this is going to be given. Then rabies, inactivated virus, and children 2 to 3 years old are going to be given the dose of it. Along with this, we are also having the poliomyelitis, which is an attenuated or inactivated vaccine, and obviously that also given for 2 to 3 year old children. And then yellow fever, it's an attenuated virus, and this is mainly given for military personnel and the individuals traveling to endemic areas. And measles, mumps, rubella. So like this, we are having a list of viral vaccines that are going to be given against the different types of viral diseases. Then moving to the bacterial diseases, here I have given you the cholera, diphtheria, then pertussis and tetanus, and meningococcal infections. And the vaccine that is going to be given against these things are fraction of Vibrio cholera. Individuals in endemic areas are given. And the diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, we are having the diphtheria toxoid. Even the pertussis and tetanus toxoids are given, which together we call them as triple vaccine, that is DPT vaccine. So the diphtheria toxoid was given to 2 to 3 months old infants, whereas the other Partilla, pertussis, and tetanus toxoid were given the children under 5 years of age. And then coming to the meningococcal infections, so these are going to be prepared the vaccines with the serotypes of polysaccharides of bacteria like A, B, C, like this. Okay, and even the Haemophilus influenza polysaccharide protein conjugate or bacterial polysaccharide called as HBPV. Okay, bacterial, that is Haemophilus influenza polysaccharide virus is also going to be taken as a vaccine, mainly in the endemic areas only. Okay, so this is how we are having the vaccines related to the bacterial diseases like plague, pneumococcal, tuberculosis. We know the BCG vaccine was given against the TB, and then typhoid fever and typhus fever. So here just I have given you a glimpse of all those things. Okay, so let's move in detail about these vaccines, then you can understand about all these things. Then what a vaccine should have. if we consider it as a safe. That means what are the characters of an ideal vaccine? So these are the certain characters that a ideal vaccine should possess. The first one, it should be safe. Obviously, anything that we are going to take, it should be safe to us, isn't it? So then it should have very low levels of side effects. If it is not safe, so at least it should have some limited amount of side effects. That is fever following immunization, etc. in the normal individuals. Then, as I said, it should be safe. That means it should not be tumorogenic or toxic or pathogenic. Then coming to, it should not cause problems in individuals with an impaired immune system. And also it should not spread either within the vaccinated individual or to the other individuals in the live conditions, that is live vaccines. Then it should not contaminate the environment. So obviously it should be effective in providing the long lasting humoral and the cellular immunities. That means though we are taking once, it should be of having a long lasting immunity. Then the vaccine should be cheap, obviously cheap, so that it is generally affordable. Okay, so far such an ideal vaccine has not been developed. So though we are expecting to have all these characters, but so far such an ideal vaccine has not developed. So some may have some properties and some may not have that one. Okay, then moving to the types of vaccines. So these are all the types of vaccines that we are having. So let us have a glance of it and then we'll discuss in detail one by one now. Vaccines are majorly classified into three types, that is conventional vaccines, then purified antigen vaccines, then recombinant vaccines. What are conventional vaccines? The conventional vaccines are also called as traditional vaccines. Whole pathogenic organisms are used and produced in animals and cultured cells. And these conventional vaccines can be of a live vaccines, that is attenuated pathogens. And here most of the viral vaccines are going to be of live vaccines. And then inactivated pathogen vaccines, most bacterial vaccines, and some viral vaccines are going to be of in the form of killed state. So those are all called as inactivated pathogen vaccines. So the conventional or traditional vaccines are going to be of two types. One is the live, that is attenuated vaccines, and the second one is the killed or inactivated condition. Then coming to the second type of the vaccines, that is purified antigen vaccines. Here the polysaccharide vaccines were that means the polysaccharides of the organism are going to be taken and they are going to be used as a vaccine. So example is a meningitis, pneumonia, etc. So for such diseases the polysaccharide vaccines were used. Then the third type of the vaccines are recombinant vaccines. Recombinant vaccines are based on the rDNA technology, that is our recombinant DNA technology. Here, a gene encoding an immunogenic protein, which is essential for the pathogen, is isolated, cloned, and used for the vaccine production. Such type of the vaccines are called as recombinant vaccines. And these are again of two types. One is the recombinant proteins or subunit vaccines. Then second type is DNA vaccines. So here the DNA vaccines are the pathogen gene itself used as a vaccine, either the naked or inserted in a suitable vector, where the area of intensive research these vaccines are majorly used. So that means directly the genome of the pathogens are taken and those are being used as in the preparation of vaccines. We call them as DNA vaccines. And coming to the R proteins, that is recombinant proteins or subunit vaccines, we again have two types, that is whole protein or molecule vaccines, and the second one is going to be of a polypeptide vaccines. Whole protein molecule vaccines, the complete immunogenic proteins produced in genetically engineered microorganisms and cultured in animal cells, possibly in the insects and plants, is going to be called as whole protein molecule vaccines. Then what is a polypeptide vaccine? It is immunogenic portion of the protein used as a vaccine produced in the genetically engineered microorganisms. So this is all about the summary of the types of vaccines. So let's see these all vaccines in detail now. So coming to the first one is a conventional vaccines, which I already told you. Those are also called as traditional vaccines. So this consists of consists of a whole pathogenic organisms which may be either killed or the live condition. Okay, that means if they are in the live condition, we call them as live vaccines, that is attenuated vaccines. If they are killed, that means most bacterial vaccines and some viral vaccines are going to be in the killed condition. Okay, so these conventional vaccines are having the virulence of the pathogen is greatly reduced, that means attenuated, or produced in either whole animals or cultured in animals. And these are again of two types, that is live vaccines and inactivated vaccines, that is killed vaccines. So let's see those live vaccines and inactivated or killed vaccines. The live attenuated vaccines, if a live organism is to be administered to elicit an immune response, such type of the vaccines are called as live attenuated vaccines. The organisms must be avirulent, that means they should not harm us and cause either a mild disease or no disease at all. Such type of the vaccines are going to be considered as live attenuated vaccines. Example is the Sabin vaccine. Okay, Sabin vaccine. Then advantage of this type of live vaccines are going to be of both humoral and cell mediated immune response or stimulated, and this is going to be last for many years. Whereas disadvantage, occasional reversion of the virus to virulence, that means we think that the vaccine was in an inactive state, that means the pathogen is in an inactive state, but sometimes this may become activated. So that's how it is going to regenerate its virulence and cause the infection or disease. So such kind of the reversion may occur occasionally, which is a major disadvantage of this live vaccines. Then coming to the second type of conventional vaccines or traditional vaccines is inactivated pathogen vaccines or simply killed vaccines. An organism or an inactivated organism or virus for vaccine is generated from stalks of the virulent strain of virus grown in the culture cells. Example is the Salk vaccine for polio, where the organism was literally killed. And the modern molecular that we are going to have advances than this conventional one. Okay, so before that, just have a glance of advantage, then we'll discuss. So here the advantage of this killed vaccines is going to be of absence of prevention, because we have killed the organism, so there may be no chance of getting the virulence back, since there is no virus replication during immunization. And these can be stored more cheaply than can live viral vaccines. That means we have to have a more sophisticated preservation of these live vaccines, but we don't want such kind of the storage or preservation of vaccines regarding this killed vaccine. So that's a major advantage, where it is going to be of very cheap. And then disadvantages, vaccines are incomplete and you are going to have a short immunity. So these are the two main disadvantages of this killed vaccines. So we have discussed about the conventional vaccines, which are also called as traditional vaccines, which are of two types, live vaccines and inactivated pathogen vaccines or killed vaccines. So their advantages, disadvantages also we have discussed. Now move to the second type, that is purified antigen vaccines. So modern molecular methodologies or methods have provided hope for designing better vaccines which will be devoid of the problem associated with the existing conventional vaccines. Okay, and the advantive recombinant DNA technology created a revolutionary impact on science of vaccinology, and that's how employing this technology, novel vaccines are being produced. Okay, so let's see all those things. The first one is purified antigen vaccines. As I told you, examples is going to be the polysaccharide vaccines. These, that means these vaccines are based on purified antigens isolated from the concerned pathogens. So that means we will take only the epitopes of the antigens, and those are going to be called as purified antigen vaccines. And these are non-recombinant. Remember, these vaccines are going to be of non-recombinant. And the risk of pathogens is avoided, which is going to be seen in the conventional method, was avoided as they do not contain organism, because we take only the antigenic determinants. Okay, and the cost is higher due to the steps involved in the purification and vaccine preparation. And not only that, the isolated antigens are purely immunogenic. But the advantage of this purified antigen is the toxoid vaccines are quite effective and cheap by having this kind of vaccine preparation, that is purified antigen vaccines. Okay, and this is going to be mainly used in the polysaccharide vaccines for meningitis, which is caused by Neisseria meningitis, and the pneumonia, which is caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae. Not only that, the toxoids of the pathogens like causing tetanus, diphtheria, gas, gangrene are also going to be prepared by this method called as purified antigen vaccines. So this is all about the second type of antigens classification of vaccines, that is purified antigen vaccine. Next, coming to the third type is recombinant vaccines. As I told you, the recombinant vaccines are going to be of what we call rDNA technology is going to be used in the preparation of vaccines. So we call them as recombinant vaccines. So vaccines, as I told you, based on recombinant DNA technology, it can be of either a protein or a gene encoding a protein of a pathogen origin that is immunogenic and critical to the pathogen function is going to be taken, and that is going to be encoded, isolated, cloned, and used for vaccine production. So that is going to be called as recombinant vaccine. And this recombinant vaccines are again of two types. One is the recombinant proteins or subunit vaccines, or DNA vaccines. So let's see. So recombinant proteins or subunit vaccines. Subunit vaccines, the understanding that the isolated proteins of virus can provoke protective immune response and led to the application of genetic engineering in cloning as well as expression of certain critical viral genes in prokaryotes and eukaryote expressions too. The immunogenic peptides of pathogen origins could be expressed either in the bacteria and the yeast. Okay, and the concept of this subunit vaccine containing only those immunogenic components necessary to elicit a protective response and excluding the others not necessary for immunity has several attractive features. So here the total pathogen is not involved, and it is they are going to take only the the antigens which are responsible of causing the immunity or immunogenic components necessary to elicit the protective response were taken, and the rest of the things are being excluded, which are not necessary for the immunity. For example, if we take a bacteria containing A, B, C epitopes, and if A is essential for the antigen for acting as a protective, elicit the protective response, then we will take that epitope A, and the rest of the B, C are going to be removed. Such type of the vaccines are going to be called as subunit vaccines. And these subunit vaccines lack infectivity as they do not possess the genetic material, so obviously they lack the infectivity, and hence no complication of infection arising out of vaccination in immunocompromised individuals also. That means those who lack the immunity, either they may be of a HIV patients or they may be of certain cancer patients. All those patients can have these kind of the vaccination. Subunit vaccination eliminates pyrogenic and other undesirable reactogenicity. Pyrogenic means fever producing. Okay, so that is what is going to be eliminated, where we will see these all things in the conventional vaccines, that is traditional vaccines, but those all producing the fever, pain, all these things are going to be reaction All these things are going to be eliminated by this kind of vaccination with subunit vaccines. And these vaccines also exhibit a great deal of stability. These vaccines also exhibit a great deal of stability. And these are again of two types, that is whole protein molecule vaccines and the polypeptide vaccines. So as I already told you about the DNA vaccines, the first type is the recombinant vaccines, and then whole protein molecule vaccines, where I told you that the whole organism, the whole protein, that is complete immunogenic proteins produced in genetic engineering microorganisms and then cultured in animal cells, possibly in the insects and the parts. So such type of the vaccines are called as whole protein molecule vaccines, whereas the polypeptide vaccines, the immunogenic portion, that means part of the protein, is used in the preparation of the vaccines which are produced in genetically engineered microorganisms. Those are called as polypeptide vaccines. The polypeptide is a short chain of a protein. Okay, so that's how these are the two types of subunit vaccines. Then moving to the second type, that is DNA vaccines. A relatively recent approach in vaccine development is based on the observation that when a plasmid containing suitable promoters and the gene encoding proteins are injected into tissues, the genes may be expressed and generate cell mediated immune response. That means the same response can be generated by inoculating relevant nucleic acid into the skin or mucosa. So thus we can define these DNA vaccines as the vaccines based on DNA are being developed, and results obtained with influenza virus are quite exciting. And these DNA vaccines are regarded as a third revolution in vaccines. Okay, and the delivery of DNA vaccines requires expression of immunogenic proteins in the tissues that is accessible to the immune system, such as a muscle or skin or mucosal membranes. And the effective transfection, that means how you are going to have the process and expression of the gene within these tissues, it is imperative that the introduced DNA is supercoiled and it includes strong tissue specific promoter, and the transcribed mRNA has poly A tail to ensure its stability in the host. Like DNA, naked mRNAs are also going to be of encoding. Immunogenic protein can also be directly inoculated into the host to induce immune response against the protein product. Though the nucleic acid vaccines approach appears very attractive, there are a number of concerns, including the possibility of integration of the nucleic acid persistence and immunotolerance, which is needed to be added or addressed. So these are all the things where we are having a drawbacks, that how that is going to be integrated, how it is going to persist, and how it is going to have the immunotolerance. These are also going to be how to be addressed in the preparation of these DNA vaccines. Okay, so that's all about the DNA vaccines. Then we are also having some other types of vaccines like synthetic vaccines, vectorated vaccines, and plant-based edible vaccines. Let's see what are synthetic vaccines. Chemically synthesized peptides corresponding to a protein fragment would also produce a viral neutralizing antibodies. So those are all going to be called as synthetic. So we are going to chemically prepare the vaccines without the involvement of any organism or its subunits, is going to be called as synthetic vaccines. Example or advantage of this one is going to be indefinite shelf life, precise composition, easy to handle. So these are all the advantages of it. That means they possess indefinite shelf life, one. Then they are going to have a precise composition, and there will be no possibility for the adventitious presence of live virus because we are not preparing the virus at all, and it is easy to handle. And a number of diseases have been targeted for synthetic vaccines, example influenza and hepatitis B. Then moving to the vectorated vaccines, the vectorated vaccines approach allows expression of heterogeneous genes into a non-virulent, avirulent bacterial organism or bacterial organisms which are harmless to vaccinated animals and induce cellular and humoral immune response. So that means we are using a vector to transfer these vaccines, and that have to be of avirulent in nature. And these vectorated vaccines are mostly used in uh, vaccinia virus. It has been used as a vector for the development of vaccine against rabies and rinderpest. Okay, so this is all about the vectored vaccines. Then coming to the plant-based edible vaccines, which is a very interesting concept in the preparation of vaccines. The recent developments in the plant biotechnology have opened new vistas for the development of edible plant vaccines against human and animal diseases. The results of recent studies have suggested that genetically engineered plants and plant viruses could be used as vaccines, and attempts are being made to produce various antigens and antibodies in plants. So these antigens and antibodies expressed in plants can be administered. That means we can take them orally as any edible part of the plant. So we can have the fruit of the plant or the leaf of the plant which is going to be the edible, or by parental route after isolation and purification from the plant tissue. So the plants like tomato, banana and cucumbers are generally the plants of choice that being used for the production of these edible vaccines. The first report of production of edible vaccines, that is a surface protein from Streptococcus in tobacco, appeared in 1990 in the form of a patent application. Subsequently, a number of attempts were made to express various antigens in the plants. So these are all about the different types of vaccines other than the recombinant or the conventional or the purified, where we had seen the synthetic vaccines, vectorated vaccines and plant-based edible vaccines. So these are all about the different types of the vaccines, which is a very important topic both in the medical microbiology as well as in the immunology concept. So these are all the types of vaccines that we have discussed, where conventional, where traditional, and purified antigen vaccines, recombinant vaccines. Okay, so that's all about the vaccines. Thank you.